I am genuinely fascinated to find out what happens. Usually I'm just on a ship and it sinks, and that's really cool, don't get me wrong, but this is sort of a thought experiment. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are back in Stormworks, and today we are taking a look at the 1913 version of the Olympic. So yeah guys, let's get into the video. Alright, so here we are on the deck of the RMS Olympic 1913 version, and as you can see there's a lot more boats off to the left there, and you'll notice the bridge has changed. If you remember seeing the last video, the bridge was rounded and now it's square. But what else changed here, Jlkillen?
Yeah, so the officers' quarters was actually extended forward, and the layout was actually changed quite drastically. The Marconi Room was actually moved to where it would have been found on the Titanic, and like you said, the wheelhouse was actually changed to be square like it was on Titanic.
Now speaking about the Marconi Room, here it is, and as you can see, it's actually slightly different from Titanic's. You want to explain why that is?
Yeah, so here it looks like the Marconi Room is a lot larger than what it was on Titanic. I think it's basically the same Marconi Room layout, it's just it was moved to where it was on Titanic.
Now, yeah, I do believe that there should be a cabin off to the left for the Marconi operators, and off to the right should be the silent room, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm not an expert on the Titanic, the Olympic, or the Britannic, so do not quote me on it. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to move on, and we are going to go this way, and we should find the grand staircase, and here it is. Now, the grand staircase hasn't really changed. There are some things down on A deck, but we'll get to those in a little bit. We want to go through boat deck first. So let's go out. We're going to go through the gym as well. So here's the gym, looking pretty much the same. Now, there might be smaller variations or changes, but if I don't notice them, I do apologize. Once again, not an expert on this. I'm just kind of going through this. I'm sort of an enthusiast, but we're going to go through. As you can see, the deck looks pretty cluttered with the boats, but hey, that's how they're supposed to be for safety. And Jlkillen, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so after the sinking of the Titanic, a lot of people were very skeptical to actually ride on the Olympic now because of such a big disaster, and you know, a lot of people actually dying, so people didn't want to get on the ship unless if there were more lifeboats installed.
And as you can see, there's a lot more, and here's something I actually didn't know. I didn't know that they had, like, all these boats back here. I thought it was just the regular 2 boats here. So, apparently, they have another set right here, which is pretty cool. But going over here, nothing drastic has changed. I do see some deck chairs down there, but I think that was on the 1911 version as well, but I'm not completely sure. But yeah, this looks fantastic. It's a really awesome recreation of what the 1913 version was like, and we're going to go through the interiors in just a moment. Now here we go, we are back inside the grand staircase. We're going to make our way down to A deck, and we're going to see a few more changes here. So as you can see, there's a new hallway here, and this is for extra cabins. Now, we'll talk about this in a moment, but we're going to go to the reading and writing room to actually look at the changes there. So going around this way, we're going to go down this hallway, which we know as the access way to the reading and writing room, as well as the lounge. We'll get to that in a moment, but here we go. Here we are in the reading and writing room, and Jlkillen, there has been a change here. We talked about this in the last video, and it's actually been made here. Now, why was this change actually implemented on the Olympic when it was talked about being added to the Titanic?
Yeah, so during Titanic's maiden voyage, it was actually Thomas Andrews who wrote down the idea of removing that alcove because it wasn't used as much, and he told that change to Mr. Ismay, and after the sinking, he actually kept that in mind and implemented it on the Olympic and the Britannic.
So yeah, that's really cool. That's why the change is actually here and also on the Britannic. Obviously on the Britannic, it never really got to be fitted out, but it was there. Making our way aft, we can find the lounge, and I don't think there's any huge changes here, but yeah, it still kind of retains the same look. And this actually exists today. It's in the White Swan Hotel. They've actually rebuilt this room from the real panels of the Olympic after it was scrapped, which is actually really cool. Now, making our way further aft, we're going to come to the aft grand staircase, and as you can see, we've got some windows here, but they're blacked out. So why is that, Jlkillen?
I believe that these windows here are actually supposed to be fake. I'm not entirely sure though, but if you do remember from the previous video on here, there were no cabins here. The cabins were present on the Titanic, A36 and A37, and these cabins were recently built on the Olympic after the refit.
Now, continuing aft, we are making our way into the smoking room, and I don't think there's any major changes here, so we'll just walk by it. Same thing with one of the palm courts here, nothing major to see, so here we are on the A-deck promenade at the back. So I do see a box here. I'm not sure if this was here before, but there it is, and we've got benches, of course. But this is a nice view, and we will be looking at the third class spaces as well. I missed those in the last video, so I'll make sure to check those out in this video. Now, making our way down the starboard side, we're going to quickly go over to the port side, and we're going to take a look at what they've done to that side of the ship in this sort of area. So, yeah. So going over, you're going to notice that it's not going to be that inset area like you see on Titanic. It's actually just a wall, similar to how it was on Britannic. And, yeah, that's where the new cabins were going to go. Or, well, did, because there they are. Going back into the interior, we're going to go down to B deck, and we're going to take a look at what that area holds. So, I don't see anything major here, but let's walk forward. So, let's go out this door, and here we have the B deck area. And, uh-oh, there's some land over there, but luckily, we are sailing away from it. We're not going to hit it, which is obviously good. Let's take a look and see what we have with the promenade. Now, you'll notice there's a wall down there that's stopping us from viewing all the way down the promenade. So, while we go over there, Jlkillen, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so during Olympics refit, they actually added the Cafe Parisian, like it was on Titanic. And another interesting addition, or I guess extension, was they extended the a la carte restaurant over to the port side because it was so popular at the time.
Exactly, and here we have it now, and it looks pretty good. I mean, this is the first time we're seeing it on Ice Monsters build, and yeah, I love it. Now let's go ahead, let's move over to the a la carte restaurant, because I'm a bit excited to see that because we didn't check it out in the last video, so here we go. Entering into the a la carte restaurant, you can see that it's actually really nicely done. We didn't get to see it in the last video, but here we have it again, and hold on, let's take a look at that land passing by. This is actually a really awesome view. Imagine sitting down here, having a meal, seeing the land pass by, and that's one of the nicest things about this extension or this expansion of this room, is that you just get basically a non-stop view right out into the ocean. Unlike how it was before, where you had to look through a promenade and then out onto the ocean. So I do personally like this change to this room, so yeah, really well done nonetheless. It is a nice recreation of the space. Now going this way, we're going to find ourselves in the landing of the second class staircase, on B deck of course. And this goes up to boat deck, and it goes down to F deck. So going this way, we're going to find ourselves in the second class smoking room, which is really, really cool. And it looks like it's been wonderfully done. So this is really my first time seeing this because I didn't get to see it in the last video. Now we're going to continue aft, and we are going to make our way into the other second class staircase. I think they had two, right?
I believe so. This one's located here, yeah, right underneath the mast.
Yeah, I think there's a couple like famous photos of Olympic that show the mast going through with the band playing. That's really cool, and we actually get to see it here. So as you can see, that goes right down there. And continuing our way down, we are now on C deck. So on C deck, we find the reading and writing room in the second class area, of course. Now, this is a nice space. I do really enjoy it. It is quite nice, and actually, I will be honest with you, some of the second class spaces look even nicer than first class. Maybe I've just been looking at first class spaces for too long, but yeah, this does look really nice. Going this way, we are now on the C deck landing of the second class staircase, but we're not going to be there for long because we are going to make our way forward through the ship. So here we are entering the world of first class again. Now we will find the very bottom of the second grand staircase, near the aft of the ship of course, and we can look up and see the dome just above, which is always nice. Now continuing forward, if that actually, stop, reverse that, we need to see the barbershop. Where's the barbershop? There it is. We always have to say hello to the barbershop whenever we're walking on any Olympic class liner. So yes, let's make our way forward. This time, let's go on the port side, and then we'll make our way forward to the main grand staircase. So here we have a cabin, and I think we will find the suites on the left here. Yep, here we go. We got a suite there, and the main suites right here, which is really cool. Over here, we'll find the cloakroom's gone. It's been replaced with a wall and a door. And over here, we will find the purser's office. So we checked this out in the last video, but yeah, checking it out again. Now, before we go down to D-Deck, we still have to take a look at the forward section and the aft section of C-Deck. They're kind of separated by the well deck, so it was just easier to take a look at the first class spaces before going here. But we're here, we're going to check them out, so let's go. Right over here, we have the third class main staircase that goes down. Right over here, we have the third class general room, and we've also got a piano there, which is pretty cool. And over here, we should have the third class smoking room, and we do. So that is very, very cool. So now with that checked out, let's make our way to the bow of the ship, and let's see what was changed there, if anything. So here we are on the forward well deck, and as you can see, we've got the black around the cargo hatches now. I don't know if they were dado in the last version we checked out, but they're now black. So yeah, there we go. Let's make our way up onto the forecastle deck. So I don't see any major changes here, but this is still a very nice view, no matter what version of the Olympic you're looking at. So let's make our way down to D-Deck. Alright, so here we are heading down the main grand staircase to D-Deck, and as you can see, here we are in the reception room, and at first glance, nothing looks very different. But let's turn around. Now still, this may not look different, but it is. It's actually Titanic's configuration. So Olympic 1911 was slightly different, and now it's been converted into Titanic's configuration, and we have lost the staircase that is here down to Scotland Road. So, yeah, there we are. Now let's go ahead, let's take a look at what's been changed in the dining room, if anything. So, nothing has been changed quite yet, but in future versions, we will notice this room will change a little bit. Now moving aft, we find the wonderful second class dining room, and this room is really, really cool. It's got this awesome detailing on the ceiling as well, and this is, again, another first time looking at this space. Didn't get to check it out in the last video. This ship has got so much interior that it's really difficult to all get it in one video, but I'm really trying hard to make sure I get all these spaces, and yeah, as you can see, it looks fantastic. Now, I don't think there's been any changes from the last version. I think this is just how it was, and I don't think it was changed whatsoever. I could be wrong, but we'll see in future versions of the ship if it does change. So yeah, now here we have the spiraling staircase, which is actually blocked off going down to, I believe, that is E-Deck. But let's move to the forward end of D-Deck to finish up there. Now before we finish up D-Deck, we cannot forget the third class open space. We missed this in the last video, but we're here, and I don't think there's any drastic changes made, but here it is, and it looks pretty nice. Now we are going to go down from here to Scotland Road, and this is where we're going to start noticing some changes. And you'll already see there's watertight doors here. These weren't here on Titanic, and they were implemented after the disaster, but I'll hand it over to Jlkillen to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so 5 of the watertight bulkheads were actually raised up to be a lot higher, and it was said that if any of those, I guess, segments were breached, that the ship would stay afloat. Instead of it being 16 watertight compartments, it's basically 5 groups that consist of those 16 watertight compartments.
Alright, so here we are on the E-Deck landing of the grand staircase. Now, I don't think anything's really been changed here, but it's worth having a look. And yeah, I don't think anything has been changed, so let's keep moving aft. Now here we have a space I forgot to check out in the last video. This is the third class dining room, and as you can see, it looks pretty much the same. So yeah, no changes to be seen here, but we're seeing it for the first time in this build, which is still really cool. Now moving aft, we find the E-Deck landing of the second class staircase. Now we're going to make our way down to F-Deck, and we'll see if anything's changed down there, so let's go. Alright, so here we are back on the E-Deck landing of the main grand staircase, and we're going to make our way down, and we're going to see if there's been any changes. And I don't think so. Could be wrong. This seems relatively the same. How about the pool? Any added detail there? Let's take a look. Nope, pretty much the same. So, there we go. Now we're going to go to another aft deck space, which we did sort of check out in the last video, but we didn't really fully explore it. And that is the third class bunks. They're actually down a deck below us in this forward section of Scotland Road, so let's go. Now, not a lot of people explore down here, including me, so I could get lost. It is sort of a maze down here, especially if you don't know the deck plans, but yeah. So I don't think anything's really been changed here, which is just okay. I mean, there's nothing really to change down here unless you're changing the layout or something, but yeah, let's go to the boiler rooms and we'll see if there's anything there, and then I'm going to explain what we're going to be doing for the sinking, because I've kind of got an interesting idea. Alright, so here we are in the boiler room, and if you notice, the watertight doors are closed. But we're going to be changing that. We're going to be sinking the ship with the watertight doors open, and we're going to see what happens. I mean, we know the sinking already, so we'll see what the ship does. Will it capsize? Will it sink level? I'm thinking it's going to sink level, because the water should kind of evenly flow throughout the ship, but I don't know. Let's see. Alright, so back on the bridge, Jlkillen, what do you think is going to happen when we open up the watertight doors and sink the ship?
I believe that there was actually a physical simulation that was done on like a miniature version of Titanic where they tested to see what would happen if the watertight doors were left open. And at first she actually sank level, but then something happened. I guess you could call it the free surface effect. The ship became very unstable. If it just listed over slightly to any side, all of the water would get pushed to that side and the ship would just capsize like really quickly.
Alright, so in 3, 2, 1, and we are now scuttling the ship. So I'm going to quickly make my way down into the boiler room and see how the water's flooding in. We'll see how fast it goes, and we'll see basically what happens. I am genuinely curious to see what goes on. My easy way down is to just jump down here. I don't think there's any faster way to do it unless you want to just use the elevator, which unfortunately does not function in the game, but you know, that's to be expected. But here we go. We're going to go down and we are going to check out what's going on in the boiler room. Well, so far so good. I don't see any water on the floor, but that could change soon. Here we go. Let's go this way. Oh, here we have the water. Oh my gosh, it's already up to, well, almost my waist here. So, oh, whoa. Is this the fireman's passage? Okay, yes it is. So here we have the cargo holds, and they are rapidly filling with water, which is obviously not that good. Well, especially not that good because we're on a ship. But, yeah. So the water is now flooding into the boiler room. It's working its way aft. It's moving into this boiler room. And now it's flooding into this one. So we are already starting to go down by the bow, and wow, that is a very eerie sight. Look at that. Reminds me of the Titanic right there, just, well, on the port side instead of the starboard side. Yeah, there's the water there. It's just bursting through there, and that's almost similar to what happened on Titanic, except it wasn't the watertight door. It was actually the coal bunker door, and Jlkillen can kind of explain that there.
Yeah, so during Titanic's sinking, the iceberg actually punctured around 2 feet into the coal bunker of Boiler Room 5. And the engineers were able to keep the water down for a time, but after getting around 180 tons of water building up on those non-watertight coal bunker doors, it ended up collapsing, and it actually killed a few people that were pinned inside the pump room, and they couldn't get out.
I think one of them broke their leg on the pump access hatch, which was on the floor, and yeah. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I've got to cut myself off there because... Do you notice anything?
Not exactly.
She's starting to list.
Oh.
Now, is that because we have free surface effect going on? Is that because the ship just kind of naturally rolled over because of regular instability with water flooding in, and all this water is now shifting over to that side? Actually, I don't know if free surface effect actually exists in Stormworks. I think if water is on top of something, it just makes the ship unstable. Like if you have air underneath and then you flood a compartment above, it causes the ship to roll over. I'm not sure if weight of water on one side is calculated. I think in Stormworks, and I'm not a developer of the game, but if I had to guess, because it's sort of a simple version of fluid dynamics, the water really is just a visual thing. What it is the compartment is filling with water, so the space just gets less buoyant. So I don't know if we're going to necessarily roll over, but I think we are going to sink level. Because if each space is just lessening in buoyancy, or just reducing in buoyancy, then we shouldn't really be tilting over. But I don't know. Maybe we are tilting over because we're now unstable. Or maybe it's part of the scripted sinking. Back on the boat deck and in the bridge, we can actually see... Okay, this thing is definitely not going to capsize. Well, I don't think it's going to capsize. I mean, look at how low it is in the water. If it was to capsize, it's definitely going to be near the end of the sinking, where it's really unstable and upper decks are, well, rapidly flooding. And are we tilting? Yes, we are. I am genuinely fascinated to find out what happens. Usually I'm just on a ship and it sinks, and that's really cool, don't get me wrong, but this is sort of a thought experiment. What's going to happen with the watertight doors open? And my next question is, if it goes down by the bow, will it go very quickly, because all the water should basically pour forward, right? I mean, if the watertight doors are open, there's nothing stopping the water from saying, oh, I'm just going to flood back forward into the ship. So, yeah, I think it might just do something that we don't expect, and oh my gosh, this is not looking good. We are now on E deck, and yeah, Scotland Road's gone. Holy cow, actually, is it capsizing? I think it's capsizing. This is getting a lot more tilted than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, we need to go. Oh my gosh, we are trapped. Yep, and that would be the end of us here. Let's just go. And I'm not even going to worry about doors. Oh my gosh. This thing is going way faster than I anticipated. I think this might be faster than the last time we sank the ship. Alright, so back in the grand staircase. Yep, here's our wonderful and faithful friend, Water. And is the ship leveling out? Oh my gosh, yes it is. Alright, we need to get out of here. It is rapidly flooding. Alright, let's go. Come on. Quickly, let's move. Here we go. Oh my gosh, there it goes. Let's move. That is definitely an eerie sight. To see the water just kind of, it looks like a wall almost, just making its way aft. So I think we need to move even faster. Alright, so real quick, I'm going to no-clip out of my character, and we're going to take a look at the ship going down. Because since we're kind of examining what would happen to the ship with the watertight doors open, I can assure you all the doors are open throughout the ship up until the engine room. And I don't see a difference. Maybe it's going at a slightly steeper angle. I'm not sure. But as you can see, she's going to sink whole, obviously. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I was anticipating more of a shallow sinking where she would just sink sort of level. Or at least near the end, then she would go pretty quick. But no. She sank relatively normally. The water is just kind of consuming the stern, and I don't think she's going to hit bottom anytime soon. So, there we go. And the last thing to go under, I think, is going to be that flagpole. Yep. And it's gone. So if you guys have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you some guys. Goodbye.